Quran Translation in English, Part 13. The Cow, Al-Baqarah, 220-240. Upon this world and the hereafter. And they ask you concerning orphans. Say, improving their condition is best. And if you partner with them, they are bonded with you in faith. And Allah knows who intends harm and who intends good. Had Allah willed, He could have made it difficult for you. Surely Allah is Almighty, All-Wise. Marrying believers. Do not marry polytheistic women until they believe, for a believing slave woman is better than a free polytheist, even though she may look pleasant to you. And do not marry your women to polytheistic men until they believe. For a believing slave man is better than a free polytheist, even though he may look pleasant to you. They invite you to the fire while Allah invites you to paradise and forgiveness by His grace. He makes His revelations clear to the people so perhaps they will be mindful. Intercourse during menstruation. They ask you, O Prophet, about menstruation. Say, beware of its harm. So keep away, and do not have intercourse with your wives during their monthly cycles until they are purified. When they purify themselves, then you may approach them in the manner specified by Allah. Surely Allah loves those who always turn to Him in repentance and those who purify themselves. Your wives are like farmland for you, so approach them consensually as you please. And send forth something good for yourselves. Be mindful of Allah, and know that you will meet Him. And give good news to the believers. Rules regarding oaths. Do not use Allah's name in your oaths as an excuse for not doing good, not guarding against evil, or not making peace between people. And Allah is all-hearing, all-knowing. Allah will not hold you accountable for unintentional oaths, but for what you intended in your hearts. And Allah is all-forgiving, most forbearing. Vowing not to touch one's own wife. Those who swear not to have intercourse with their wives must wait for 4 months. If they change their mind, then Allah is certainly all-forgiving, most merciful. But if they settle on divorce, then Allah is indeed all-hearing, all-knowing. Waiting period after divorce. Divorced women must wait 3 monthly cycles before they can remarry. It is not lawful for them to conceal what Allah has created in their wombs. If they truly believe in Allah in the last day, and their husbands reserve the right to take them back within that period if they desire reconciliation. Women have rights similar to those of men equitably, although men have a degree of responsibility above them. And Allah is Almighty, All-Wise. Proper way to divorce. Divorce may be retracted twice, then the husband must retain his wife with honor or separate from her with grace. It is not lawful for husbands to take back anything of the dowry given to their wives, unless the couple fears not being able to keep within the limits of Allah. So if you fear they will not be able to keep within the limits of Allah, there is no blame if the wife compensates the husband to obtain divorce. These are the limits set by Allah, so do not transgress them. And whoever transgresses the limits of Allah, they are the true wrongdoers. Husband remarrying his ex-wife. So if a husband divorces his wife 3 times, then it is not lawful for him to remarry her until after she has married another man and then is divorced. Then it is permissible for them to reunite, as long as they feel they are able to maintain the limits of Allah. These are the limits set by Allah, which He makes clear for people of knowledge. Etiquette of divorce. When you divorce women and they have almost reached the end of their waiting period, either retain them honorably or let them go honorably. But do not retain them only to harm them or to take advantage of them. Whoever does that surely wrongs his own soul. Do not take Allah's revelations lightly. Remember Allah's favors upon you as well as the book and wisdom He has sent down for your guidance. Be mindful of Allah, and know that Allah has perfect knowledge of all things. Remarrying one's ex-spouse. When you have divorced women and they have reached the end of their waiting period, do not prevent them from remarrying their ex-husbands if they come to an honorable agreement. This is enjoined on whoever has faith in Allah and the last day. This is purer and more dignifying for you. Allah knows and you do not know. Nursing children after divorce. Divorced mothers will breastfeed their offspring for 2 whole years, for those who wish to complete the nursing of their child. The child's father will provide reasonable maintenance and clothing for the mother during that period. No one will be charged with more than they can bear. No mother or father should be made to suffer for their child. The father's heirs are under the same obligation. But if both sides decide, after mutual consultation and consent, to wean a child, then there is no blame on them. And if you decide to have your children nursed by a wet nurse, it is permissible as long as you pay fairly. Be mindful of Allah, and know that Allah is all-seeing of what you do. Widow's waiting period. As for those of you who die and leave widows behind, let them observe a waiting period of 4 months and 10 days. When they have reached the end of this period, then you are not accountable for what they decide for themselves in a reasonable manner. And Allah is all aware of what you do. Proposing to widowed or divorced women. There is no blame on you for subtly showing interest in divorced or widowed women or for hiding the intention in your hearts. Allah knows that you are considering them for marriage. But do not make a secret commitment with them, you can only show interest in them appropriately. Do not commit to the bond of marriage until the waiting period expires. Know that Allah is aware of what is in your hearts, so beware of Him. And know that Allah is all forgiving, most forbearing. Divorce before consummation. There is no blame if you divorce women before the marriage is consummated or the dowry is settled. But give them a suitable compensation, the rich according to his means and the poor according to his. A reasonable compensation is an obligation on the good doers. And if you divorce them before consummating the marriage but after deciding on a dowry, pay half of the dowry, unless the wife graciously waives it or the husband graciously pays in full. Graciousness is closer to righteousness. And do not forget kindness among yourselves. Surely Allah is all-seeing of what you do. Observing prayers. Observe the 5 obligatory prayers, especially the middle prayer, and stand in true devotion to Allah. If you are in danger, pray on foot or while riding. But when you are safe, take time to remember Allah for teaching you what you did not know. Widow's original waiting period. Those of you who die leaving widows should bequeath for them a year's maintenance without forcing them out. But if they choose to leave, you are not accountable for what they reasonably decide for themselves. And Allah is Almighty, all-wise.